A summer night party. One summer night, Emily threw a big party. But in the morning, she discovered that someone had stolen all her jewelry and money. The police have 3 suspects: Daniel, the boyfriend, Lily, the best friend, and Hannah, the sister. Daniel told the police that he was playing computer games with his friend all night long. Lily felt sick and went home in the middle of the night. She'd known nothing about the theft until the police called her. And Hannah said that she stayed at the party until 7 a.m. and then took a taxi because no one could give her a lift. It was dark the whole time and she couldn't see anything. Who was lying? Hannah. At 7 a.m. in the summer, it's already light outside. A perfect breakfast. Once, a maniac kidnapped Zoe, kidnapped again, and held her in his house. There was no way the girl could escape. But one day, the man got bored and decided to make fun of his prey. "You'll have to make breakfast for me tomorrow. If I like it, I'll let you go. If not, your life will end." In the morning, Zoe went to the kitchen and started cooking. But when she turned away from the stove, the maniac, who'd sneaked inside, threw a whole box of salt into the pan. However, when Zoe served him breakfast, he realized he had to let the girl go free. You have 10 seconds to figure out what Zoe had cooked. Zoe made hard-boiled eggs. A plane crash. Dylan was going to a conference by plane when one of the engines suddenly exploded and the aircraft went down. Dylan was stuck in the cabin, which was filled with thick smoke and flames. The man found 3 objects: a fire extinguisher, a pair of polyester flippers, and a hot water bottle with a wool cover. Which of these things can save his life? Dylan won't have enough time to use the fire extinguisher. He'll suffocate long before. Polyester flippers will melt at such high temperatures. To get out of the burning plane, the man should take the hot water bottle, remove the wool cover, pour some water on it, and keep it near his face as a gas mask. Pirate's problem. Why can't pirates ever finish the alphabet? You have only 10 seconds to get it. They always get lost at sea. Now, for those of you who answered, they can't get past "arr," we'll give you credit for that because it's funnier. A near-fatal fall. Mary was standing on an 80-foot ladder with a bucket of paint. Suddenly, she slipped from the ladder and fell to the ground. But miraculously, besides spilling all the paint, she didn't get injured at all. How come? The ladder was lying on the ground. Which exit? You were kidnapped. Boy, there's a lot of that going on, isn't there? And are being kept in a basement with 3 exits. But one exit is guarded by 2 angry dogs. Near the second, there stands a mean-looking guard. And the third exit has an explosive with a 5-minute timer which is already on. Uh-oh, what should you do to escape unscathed? 10 seconds to figure it out. Be patient. Wait for 5 minutes until the explosive goes off, and then leave through the third exit. A construction site incident. David worked at a construction site. Once, someone attacked him, and he was taken to a hospital unconscious. Police officers who arrived to investigate the case have 3 suspects: Alex, Ryan, and John. Alex said that he was putting tiles on the roof when the accident happened. Ryan confessed that he was sleeping under the tree. And John claimed that he was laying bricks at that time. You have 10 seconds to figure out who's lying. Alex was the one who hurt David. The building has no roof yet, so he couldn't put tiles up there. A fellow traveler. James was traveling by train with only a light backpack full of money. He was going to help his mom buy a car. On the train, he got acquainted with Mr. Brown. The two men had a nice chat, but then James dozed off. When the train arrived at James Station, Mr. Brown was nowhere to be seen. James picked up his backpack, and although it looked exactly like his, there was no money inside. The bag was filled with screws and nails. James rushed after Mr. Brown and saw that the man was carrying an identical backpack. After James called over a police officer, Mr. Brown explained that he had taken the wrong backpack by mistake. However, the police officer still arrested him. Why? Mr. Brown couldn't mix up the backpacks because the one filled with nails and screws had to be way heavier than the one with the money. An artful plan. An inspector came to a school and started to quiz the students by asking tricky questions. But surprisingly, every time he asked something, all of the students raised their hands. And every time, the teacher picked a new student to answer, and all the answers were correct. The inspector was very confused. Can you figure out how it was possible? The teacher made a deal with the students that all of them would raise their hands. But the students who actually knew the answer had to raise their right hands, and those who didn't were supposed to raise their left hands. Dangerous escape. Jack is locked in a room with 2 doors and no windows. There's nothing inside but a chair, a table, and a tiny 6-inch wide hole in the ceiling. Behind the first door, there's a venomous snake, and the second door leads to a glass tunnel that magnifies sunlight. As a result, if Jack steps inside, he won't survive the blazing temperatures. How can the man escape? You have only 10 seconds to help him. Jack has to wait until it's dark outside. He can check it through the hole in the ceiling and leave through the glass tunnel without any problems. Kidnapping. Wasn't the last one about kidnapping? A wealthy businessman was kidnapped right from his house. The detective who arrived to investigate the case found nothing inside except a strange and mysterious note with 37713 written on it. There are 3 suspects, Eric, Ellie, and Colin. You have 10 seconds to help the detective identify the criminal. The kidnapper is Ellie. Her name is the one coded in the note. A tough choice. Olivia's boyfriend, Ethan, worked in Antarctica. Once, he had to stay there for 4 months. But while he was away, Olivia started to date someone else. When Ethan found out, he got really mad. He kidnapped Olivia and brought her to Antarctica. There, he left her in a small house with some warm clothes, food, and water. If you can survive for 2 months, I'll come back and pick you up. Otherwise, it's your problem. To increase her chances to stay alive, Ethan also let Olivia choose one of the following things: body lotion, a potted plant, a pair of sunglasses, and vitamin C tablets. What object should she choose? You have 10 seconds to figure it out. Olivia should pick sunglasses. In Antarctica, sunlight is incredibly bright, and UV radiation is very high. That's why, without sunglasses, she could damage her eyes or even go blind.